If you want to get live right now to a press conference from Delaware Governor Jack Markell in Rehoboth Beach right now.
Secretary of the Department of Safety and Homeland Security here in Delaware. Pete Schwarzkopf, the state representative for this area, and COLLIN, who's the Secretary of the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control. So Delaware has been under a state of emergency since Saturday, when we began mandatory evacuations of flood-prone areas across the state, including this area here in Sussex County. Driving warnings began yesterday. They were strengthened to level 2 driving restrictions as of 5 a.m. this morning. This afternoon, President Obama approved Delaware's declaration of emergency, authorizing direct federal assistance to our state. I want to thank all of the citizens who have taken this storm and continue to take the storm very seriously. You know, it's never easy to leave your home and to evacuate, but a few days of inconvenience will pale compared to a life lost. I also want to thank all the citizens outside of the evacuation areas who have made the right decision, who have stayed off of roads, who have stayed safely indoors, and who are waiting out the worst of the storm. Last night, we closed state offices for today, and we just announced to state employees in the last few minutes that offices will be closed at least through 4:30 tomorrow as well. Now, let's be clear that the threat of Hurricane Sandy is real, and it continues to grow. We're only hours away from the storm making a full landfall, and many hours still from its full impact hitting us here in Delaware. But even miles from its center, the storm is having a significant impact. Roads have already flooded. Homes and businesses have already lost power. Heavy winds continue to cause damage. Now, our concerns at this point are very much with the tidal cycle tonight between 9 and midnight as it works its way up the coast, potential flooding along rivers and streams, including those in Newcastle County, and sustained winds that'll be between 40 and 50 miles an hour from about 8 or 9 tonight through Tuesday morning, with gusts up to 70 miles an hour or higher. Now, as the storm passes and the winds come around, forecasts are now saying that the water that has flooded inland along the coast will actually rush out rapidly, and that will cause hazardous conditions for anybody in those waters. We spent much of today with FEMA and DEMA, the Delaware Emergency Management Agency staff, going over plans for post-storm for providing aid to Delawareans who may need it. That includes potential locations for distributions of food, water, and other supplies. Now, there are about 6,600 power outages as of about an hour ago. We expect more. And as I've now been saying for days, we expect those outages could last for quite a while. Power companies have mass crews in the area for restoring power after the storm. But as a reminder, the utility crews will not be able to send their people out into the bucket trucks while the winds are high. And so that's why this could take a long time. We may reach that kind of wind speed, 35, 40, 50 miles an hour tonight. And so please, again, stay off the roads, because if you need help, our first responders may have to put their own lives on the line, and that just may not be possible. We've opened up 7 shelters across the state of Delaware. As of about an hour ago, we had 650 people in those shelters. We also had 23 pets, and the number of both people and pets is growing. The message for tonight is really hunker down, stay safe, and prepare to be in for a long stay. We've got 300 troops from the Delaware National Guard on duty, and we can certainly double that or more, and I'm very grateful to all of them. Bridges over the C&D Canal are open. We would have to close them if we anticipate sustained winds of about 50 miles or so, 50 miles an hour. We would try to give about 2 hours notice to the extent possible. Whether we reach that point tonight remains to be seen. I very much want to thank the incredible response by Delaware's emergency response community. It's folks from the Delaware National Guard, to the Department of Transportation, to DENREC, to first responders throughout the state, the Emergency Management Agency, local emergency personnel in all 3 of our counties, as well as our town's volunteers at the Red Cross, and so many others. They are doing a really terrific job. Now, while the storm will get worse over the next few hours before it gets better, we know that we'll get through this. We just need to stay together and stick together and work together, and I'm very grateful to all the people of the state who are doing exactly that. So with that, I'd be happy to turn it over to any of you for questions.
Governor, what areas have been most impacted, and give us an assessment of the damage?
Well, we're seeing certainly significant impact in this coastal area here. We're seeing very significant impact in the bay, what we call the bay communities off of the Delaware Bay. But we're also seeing some flooding in some of the communities up in Newcastle County, Delaware City, Port Penn, places like that. We're seeing it throughout the state. When we get to the impact of the winds, we certainly expect to see that all over the state. You know, the high winds knocking over trees that are full of leaves, knocking down power lines. We expect to see that all over the state.
Any injuries, fatalities, or rescues?
We've had a few people, I don't know that I'd call them rescues. We've had some people who have been transported from their homes. They couldn't get out. They've been taken to shelters.
Just some minor injuries in terms of cause.
Some minor things. And I think one of the things that we know for sure is that because so many people have heeded the advice to stay off the road, we've been fortunate. I think it would have been a lot worse if people had been on the road. And people have to remember that from here on out, for these next many hours, the winds are going to pick up, the conditions are going to get even more dangerous. One of the reasons that we instituted this level 2 driving restriction at 5 o'clock this morning was because we were concerned about people going to work, and then as we knew conditions would get worse during the day, having to return home later in the day in really miserable driving conditions.
Governor, can you talk about some of the confusion associated with that law? A lot of people that say they're forced to go to work, they have concerns over some repercussions at work. Can you talk about and maybe provide some clarity to what that means for folks out there?
So the level 2 driving restrictions, this is something that we
Hi, we appear to have lost audio of the press conference. Back underway right now. Do we want to go back there?
As of 5 a.m. this morning, we went to a level 2 driving
the press conference. Still
what that means,
Markell.
the people who can be out on the roads are folks who are essential personnel, whether to a government entity or, for that matter, private sector. If you're
All right. Our apologies. Lost the audio there from Delaware Governor Jack Markell updating the situation from Rehoboth Beach today. And as we know, that being in the southwestern part of this storm, they are seeing a tremendous amount of rain down there. And as we saw earlier in Chad Perdelli's live shot, massive waves crashing the beach there. We've got some updated